Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Thanks so much for joining us today. The war in Ukraine hijacked President Biden's domestic agenda in his State of the Union address. Last night, the president vowed to push back against Putin by closing off American airspace to Russian flights and increasing economic reprisals.
Then President Biden turned to the crises here at home, claiming progress in fighting the pandemic and touting low unemployment figures. Tara Mergener has more on the president's speech and the response to it.
The speech was in the works for months, with the president originally planning to rally support for his domestic agenda and massive social spending plan. But with the Ukraine crisis, a change in focus.
Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home.
The president's primetime speech, a delicate balancing act, testing his leadership on the world stage as Russia's war on Ukraine rages on. Biden, criticized by members of both parties for not standing up quickly enough to Russian President Vladimir Putin, highlighted the battle between democracy and autocracy, announcing new efforts by his administration to push back.
We're coming for you, ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
As a tribute to Ukraine, some members of Congress wore blue and yellow. The ambassador to Ukraine for the U.S. sat with the First Lady in the viewing area.
Stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world.
The president's speech comes with his approval at a dismal 37%, thanks to a lingering pandemic, soaring gas prices, and record inflation, helping tank Biden's popularity as November midterms loom.
Despite all of his spin and rhetoric, our inflation's at a 40-year high. We've got gas prices at a 7-year high. Crime is rampant. Our southern border is an absolute disaster. Sadly, every one of these things is self-inflicted.
But Biden touted progress in the fight against COVID, low unemployment, and introduced his unity agenda.
This is our moment to meet and overcome the challenges of our time, and we will, as one people, one America, the United States of America.
Republicans, however, aren't buying it, criticizing the policies of the president and his party, as pointed out by Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds in the GOP response.
It feels like President Biden and his party have sent us back in time to the late 70s and early 80s, when runaway inflation was hammering families, a violent crime wave was crashing our cities, and the Soviet Army was trying to redraw the world map.
As the situation in Ukraine develops, it is still too early to know how Americans will assess Biden's handling of the Russian invasion. But new polling shows only 42% trust him to make the right decisions. On Capitol Hill, I'm Tara Mergener, CBN News.
Well, there were times last night where I actually thought that, he was tacking to the mainstream. He was going to the middle of America, saying we can't defund the police. If anything, we have to fund the police. We need law and order. The current lawlessness that's in our cities shouldn't stand. I wish all of that was being done 2 summers ago, but here we are, and you're hearing this in a speech from the president. The other thing I want to critique is that on the immigration policy, if he wants to pass an immigration bill, a comprehensive immigration bill, well, he's had control of the lower house, the Congress, and the Senate for over a year. And so what are you waiting for? You've got the ability to do it. So why aren't you putting forward the proposal for your own party to pass instead of just talking about it in the speech, the need for it? Why don't you get something done? All that said, we need to unify as a nation, because what Russia is doing, and I hope we can do that. I hope Ukraine allows us as a people to come together and realize our domestic disputes pale in comparison to what's happening internationally. what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in Taiwan, what's happening with Iran. We need to come together as a people. And again, a house divided can't stand. But if we have respect for one another and we can try to say we're unified, that we are the United States of America, well, then we can have success. In other news, the Russian advance on Kyiv is stalled, and some troops are reportedly surrendering. Others are attacking Ukraine's civilian population. Ephraim Graham has more from the CBN Newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, there are reports parts of that 40-mile-long Russian convoy of tanks and military vehicles are running out of gas and other supplies. Facing unexpected resistance from Ukrainian forces, the Russian military is now targeting civilians. Video from northern Ukraine shows rescue teams running into burning homes after military leaders say Russian missiles targeted a residential neighborhood with a hospital nearby. At least 5 people were killed when Russian forces fired on a television tower, also hitting the city's main Holocaust memorial. Ukraine's President Zelensky remains defiant, a Ukrainian official claiming an assassination attempt by a Russian hit squad was foiled. Meanwhile, a senior U.S. defense official says some Russian units are surrendering without a fight, citing low morale caused by shortages and lack of training. A humanitarian crisis is brewing in western Ukraine. More than 700,000 people have fled to neighboring nations. Many of them are passing through the city of Lviv. As CBN's George Thomas shows us, Christians there are making sacrifices to assist these refugees.
It's a wrenching scene playing out across Ukraine. Husbands like Pavlo forced to say goodbye to his wife and 2-year-old daughter Maria as they boarded a bus here in Lviv bound for Poland to escape Russia's invasion.
It's terrible because actually it was so unexpected and nobody was prepared to this situation.
More than 600,000 people have fled so far to neighboring countries. And so many of them are arriving here in Lviv, in the western part of the country. And I mean, you just look, they're coming with just a suitcase, a duffel bag. And my understanding is that Ukrainian men are not allowed to board the trains from Kyiv to Lviv. Anybody between the ages of 18 and 60 is not allowed to get on the train because the government says they need them. They need them to fight.
This time we will have the volunteers and we will do what we can do here in Lviv.
Not far from Lviv's main train station, 3 ladies who escaped the fighting this week and never knew each other before this moment
cheese, some sausage,
found shelter in Anastasia Mochar's tiny apartment, which she shares with her brother.
I don't know how long I'm going to be here because it's really hard to make plans.
Anna Tikhanchenko is from Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, where Russian forces bombarded City Hall Tuesday.
It's really hard to listen to the news and see the photo of neighborhoods, the places where I hang out. To see them destroyed is so sad.
Like so many residents here in Lviv, 22-year-old Anastasia Mochar, a Ukrainian Christian, decided to open her home to the young ladies, even though she didn't know them.
This is totally normal for me, because I was raised in a family where our home was open to other people. We were always helping people who were going through difficult times.
This past weekend, Mochar's church turned all available office space into temporary rooms for refugee families.
There will be a lot more refugees coming. We are not sure what's going to happen next, but the Christian community here stands ready to help, provide shelter, and anything else we can do.
The United Nations is warning the ongoing exodus could grow to as many as 5 million in the weeks ahead. George Thomas, CBN News, Lviv, Ukraine.
CBN's Operation Blessing is sending a disaster relief team to Ukraine's border with Poland to help with the flood of refugees. They're bringing water filtration devices, hygiene kits, and solar lamps for those staying in camps. The team includes a medical doctor and plans to set up medical clinics as well as coordinate distribution of food and water. Operation Blessing also continues to work inside Ukraine, distributing food kits, bottled water, and generators. Gordon, back to you.
If you want to be a part of this relief effort, it's real easy. All you have to do is call us, 1-800-700-7000. The reports from our team inside Ukraine, we've been operating in Ukraine now for about 3 decades. Since 2014, the invasion of Crimea, we've been operating in the eastern part of Ukraine. All of that has become very difficult because of the war situation. One report from our office in Kyiv is that we're just struggling to stay alive, that we have to move constantly and respond to troop movements. And so we're just trying to survive. So in response to that, we're dispatching our international disaster relief team to the border of Poland to help the refugees who are coming out of Ukraine. So if you want to be a part of this effort, give us a call, 1-800-700-7000. Just say, I want to give to Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. You can write to us at CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Just put Disaster Relief Fund on the memo line of your check. Or you can text now, OB Crisis, to 71777, or you can go to cbn.com. There's a place where you can designate your gift to International Disaster Relief. Either way, do it now. Let's be a help to those who are fleeing war in Ukraine. 1-800-700-7000.